Okay, in the name of Allah, the most merciful and most compassionate, today we are going to start our second semester, which speaks about testing and evaluation. So session one, this is the first lecture about introduction or introduction to testing. Okay. So what does test mean? So test as a noun and test as a verb. Test as a noun, a set of questions. So we are going to choose word from here to complete these definitions. So they said that a set of questions, exercises, or practical activities to measure someone's skills, ability, or knowledge, you know. And also as a verb, mean it's here, clear. So as a verb mean to test someone's spoken or written questions or make them do a practical activity to discover what they know about the subject. So those two definitions come from Longman Dictionary of Contemporary English. So they said a set of questions, this is a test, or exercises or practical activities to do what? To measure someone's skills or ability or knowledge. In order to measure his knowledge or his ability, we have to ask him a set of questions or exercises. To measure what? To measure someone's skills, to measure his skills, and to measure also his abilities and to know his knowledge. And also as a verb, to ask someone spoken or written questions or make them do a practical activity to discover what they know about the subject. And this is a test. So what is the difference between a test and exam? So there are some differences between test and exam. A, are usually long. Example over 1 hour. Which one is long? Is it a test or exam? And then we will see later. Are usually short. For example, 5 minutes to 1 hour. C, take place regularly during the academic year. D, take place once or twice per academic year. E, show what pupils have learned and in what areas they need to improve. F, determine a pupil's final mark or grade, or determine pupil's final mark or grade. So these are tests. So number one, tests are usually short. This is a test. Take place regularly during the academic year. This is a test. Shows what pupils have learned and in what areas they need to improve. This is a test. So for exams are usually long, take place once or twice, you know, this is exam. Determine a pupil's final mark or grade, this is the exams. So this is the differences between test and exams. Why do we test our pupils? So we have to know, why do we test them? So this is the answers. To find out what pupils have or haven't learned. We test our pupils to see that what they have learned and what they haven't learned. To measure our own effectiveness as teachers. So test is not only for students and also is helpful for teachers because we would like to see that our effectiveness as teachers. So we'd like to see that what we taught, we would like to see that whether our students have understood what we taught or not. We'd like to see that our knowledge, how we presented this. So are our students or do our students understand what we taught or not? So it's going to show us also our effectiveness as teachers. Third point, to identify each pupil's strengths and weaknesses. So in a test, we will see that the areas where our pupils are weak. So next time we're going to exert more efforts on that skills or on that area in order to make them strong. The first one, to encourage pupils to revise lessons material. So we test our students, we help them or we encourage them to revise their lessons to help us decide on pupils' final marks or grade. So why do we test our pupils? To help us decide on pupils' final marks or grade. And the last point, to show pupils that they are progressing. Also, the test will show them, because the first one and the second and the third, the students are going to compare to see that on the first month, how their grade was, on the second and then the third, they will see that whether they are progressing or not. So what is an objective test? So in testing, we have objective and subjective test. So what is an objective test? So this is like circle the correct answer. I haven't seen him ... last Wednesday. I haven't seen him A since, B for, C before, and D from. So we would like to see that what kind of this item or this question. So questions in an objective test only have one correct answer. Only one correct answer. This is in the objective test. So regardless of who marks an objective test, a pupil will always get the same mark. The pupil get the same mark. So objective tests take a longer to prepare than to mark. Let us see this. This is here. So a question in an objective test have only one correct answer. Regardless of who marks an objective test, a pupil will always get the same mark. So in objective test, whatever who correct it or who marks it, the student will get the same mark because it has only one correct answer. But the objective test is difficult to prepare, but it's easy to be marked, you know. What is a subjective test? It is a subjective. So make a sentence using since. Make a sentence. So here the students are going to have different sentences, you know, because it has different answers. It doesn't have one correct answer, one answer. So it might have different answers, and all of them could be correct. So questions in subjective test often have different possible correct answers, I think. If two different people mark a subjective test, a pupil might get two different marks. And also subjective tests take longer to mark than to prepare. Let us see this, you know. So questions in subjective tests often have several or many possible correct answers. Not only one correct answer, several and many possible correct answers. If two different people mark a subjective test, a pupil might get two different marks. Yeah. For example, if you ask a pupil to write a composition or to write a paragraph, so this paragraph, if it's corrected by different teachers, these students might get different marks. Why? Because there is some biasing that happens here. So as a teacher, I could just give him a mark because of his good handwriting, maybe. Maybe I'm interested in the topics that he wrote about, so I'm going to give him full mark. So because of this biasing. So subjective tests take longer to mark than to prepare, yeah. If you would like to correct a paragraph, it takes long time to mark, but if you want to prepare it as a teacher, it doesn't take time. So it's easy to be prepared, but it's difficult to be marked. So objectives versus subjective test. Task 1, look at the following test task and decide whether they are objective or subjective. A, choose the right words and make complete sentences. So usually you have gets or is getting up at 7 o'clock. So here the students are going to choose the correct answer. So what do you think of these questions? Are they subjective or objective? Because it is subjective. Why? Because it has only one correct answer. If one student choose is getting, is not correct answer, because the correct answer is gets. Why? Because there is usually, and this is the present simple, it has only one correct answer. And this is the same as number 2, 3, 4, 5. B, imagine that you have recently left your hometown to start a new life somewhere else. Perhaps this is something that has really happened to you. Write a personal account of your experiences and feelings. When did you leave your original home? How did you feel? What's your life like now? And this is the subjective. It is here. Why? Because you here expect that you're going to have many and several different answers. So one student might write about his feeling different than the others. So this is a subjective, it's not objective, because you expect that you are going to have different answers, and it's difficult to mark this kind of questions. It's not an easy, and this is a subjective. And C, put the words in the right order and make questions. What is your name? Or what is, and do name is spell you, how your, and this number 3, this is objective because it has only one correct answer. If it is given to different teachers, the students here are going to have the same mark, not different marks, because it is objective. And also this also is objective because it's matching A with letters with numbers. And E, this is subjective because do you enjoy learning English? So here I might expect that different answers. One student can say, yes, I enjoy learning. Others say, no, I don't enjoy learning. So you might have different answers. How many lessons? So it's different from person to another. And also this is F, they say complete. This is a objective because you have the word leave. They say when I was a little, we dash dash in Paraguay. So this is the objective test. Task 2, you want to find out whether your pupil know how to use the present simple. Example, I eat, and the present continuous, I'm eating. Write 4 test questions to help you assess this. 2 objective questions and 2 subjective questions. This is a task. You're going to do this for this week, and then you send this via email or WhatsApp. This is a test. So you want just to test the students present simple and present continuous. I want you just to write 2 objective questions and 2 subjective questions. So let us see the advantages and disadvantages of subjective test and objective test. So here they are marked consistently and quickly. So is this subjective or objective? They are marked consistently and quickly, and this is the objective test. 2, they do not test pupils' ability to communicate. They don't test pupils' ability to communicate. Is this subjective or objective? And then you decide. The tester can choose to focus on just one language point per question. D, marking may be inconsistent and time consuming. E, the tester can see how well a pupil uses language overall. For example, use of tense, spelling, punctuation, and so on. So is this these are subjective, or let us see the answers. So this is the objective test. This is a positive, this is a advantage. When we have negative, this is the disadvantage. So they are marked consistently and quickly. This is the objective, and this is advantage. The tester can choose to focus on just one language point. This is the advantages of the advantage, and this is the objective. The disadvantage is they do not test pupils' ability to communicate. Yeah, there is no communication, just only true, false, matching, and also completion, complete. So you don't test the students' ability to communicate. You don't give them chance to speak, to communicate. So this is the disadvantage of what? Of objective test. Let us see subjective test. The tester can see how well a pupil uses a language overall. Yeah, this is the advantage because you ask the pupils to write, to speak, you know. So this is the subjective and this is the advantage. Marking may be inconsistent and time consuming. This is a subjective and this is a disadvantage. Why? Because like correcting the test, marking the test, marking is speaking, marking writing, it takes time, not like multiple choice, not like matching, not like come true, false. So it takes time, it time's consuming. So here we're going to speak about what are the qualities of a good test. So a good test should be reliable. A good test should be valid. A good test should be practicable, and a good test should should discriminate between pupils. So these are the qualities of a good test. So a good test should be reliable, we said. Let us see what do we mean by reliability and validity and practicable, and what do we mean by discrimination between pupils. A good test should be reliable. It means that we should be able to trust the results of a test. We should be able to trust the results of a test. So are these following statements true or false? A test should assess pupils on as much of the materials covered in lessons as possible. Yeah, it's true. So if your test doesn't cover the lessons, I think your test is not reliable. And your test, it needs, because there is something, you know, it should cover all the things that you have taught inside the class, you know. So should be reliable, it means that if it is given the pupils again, the pupils should get the same marks, you know. And two, pupils should be allowed to choose which questions they answer in the test. False, because in the test you don't give students a chance to choose question that they want to answer. So pupils should be students should all be tested under the same conditions, same room, same materials. Yeah, true. Because the marking is consistent, objective tests are more reliable than subjective tests. Yeah, this is true. Let us explain this on the coming qualities of a good test. A good test should be valid. What does it mean? So it means that a test should measure only what is intended to. So in a test, you are not going to measure the students in two things, you know? You have to measure in one thing, not in two things. Like this question, which is the fastest animal, lion, cheetah, or tiger? So here, are you testing them on the word fastest? You want the pupils to know the meaning of fastest. Are you testing them on the word fastest? You know? So if the student do not understand the word fastest, or are you testing them on the vocabulary like lion, cheetah, or tiger? So does this question test only whether pupils know the meaning of the word fastest? No. A pupil may know the meaning of fastest, but not know the correct answer of the questions. They might not know, is it lion or cheetah or tiger? So here this should be valid. It should measure only what is intended to, you know? So this is what we mean by validity. A good test should be practicable. Can pupils finish 1 hour test in 40 minutes lesson? Can you test pupils' listening skills in a noisy room? No. A test must suit the situations and environment, you know? So here it means that practicable, it because you should put all the students in one room. You cannot put some students in a room and others under the tree. So this test is not practicable because the students who are sitting under the tree may not answer the test freely because of the noise that they hear outside. So it should be practicable. All the students should be tested under the same condition, you know. So you cannot test listening in a noisy room. Also, this is not practicable, you know. So, and the fourth one and the last one, a good test should discriminate between pupils. So are all pupils equally good at English? Is a test useful if all pupils get a mark of 100? No, it should discriminate. If all the students got 100, that means other pupils will get bored. Why? Because they know themselves that they are not the same, you know? So in a test, mean it should discriminate. There should be one difficult question, and your question in a test should be varied from easy to difficult. Like number one, asking the pupils to answer, to define words. Number two, like matching, like multiple choice. And then the last question about writing, right, you say. So in this case, because writing is needs abilities, not all students are good at writing. So in this case, they should discriminate between pupils. So a test should enable us to see which pupils are strong and which pupils are weak. Task 3. Discuss the following test. Are they subjective or objective? You know, and then are they practicable, reliable, or valid? A reading, A is reading. Pupils read a short newspaper article and answer 10 multiple choice questions about it. So what do you think of this test? Is it subjective or objective? They read the articles and then they answer 10 multiple choice questions. Is it subjective or objective? Is it valid? Is it reliable? Practicable? Writing. A pupils write a 200 words composition on either my last holiday, or my favorite film. You ask a student, write my last holiday or my favorite film. You know, what do you think of this? And then we discuss about it. C, vocabulary. Pupils match the names of 10 foods with pictures of those food. Is this subjective or objective? Grammar, in D, grammar, pupils rewrite 5 short sentences containing mistakes. Example, I go shopping yesterday. This sentence is incorrect. The students are going to correct it because I can't say I go shopping yesterday. I go shopping every day, not yesterday, or I went shopping yesterday. The students are going to correct this, pupils. E, speaking. Pupils each have 10-minute interview alone with the class teacher. This is about the speaking. Listening. Pupils listen to 5 spoken sentences and underline the correct answer to the questions. So you're going to decide whether these are subjective or objective, practicable or reliable or valid. And thank you very much. And this is the end of our first lecture. Now I'm going to open the discussion. If you have any questions, you are welcome. Hello. Hello. Let me stop the
thank you, Professor.
Yeah.
How we do the tasks that you give it in this session?